Hello, I'm Jessica Moran, author, founder of Basker, where I help people use gardening and nature to help them with their physical, mental, emotional, and social well-being. And as much as I'm obsessed with growing flowers and the power of nature, I'm equally obsessed with the power of watching TV in bed and pop culture. So each week I merge those two worlds together, and my guests and I talk about nature, that's the outside part, and our current inside obsession, from beauty trends and food trends to books that we love to TV shows that we watch in bed. Before we get to today's guest, I'm starting a new little intro segment. It's called Reasons Why I Love to Grow. And this is not an exaggeration. Learning to grow cut flowers has changed my brain. And so I'm not subtly trying to get you to grow too with these reasons. So reason number one why I like to grow. Growing for other people. And I discovered this because of my neighbor, Mr. Bryant. He's 92 years old and he sits on his porch in his rocking chair for about 5 hours a day. Not on his phone, not reading, just rocking. And I frequently would bring him bouquets from my garden to sit next to his rocking chair. And his daughters told me how much he loved the flowers and that when they were younger, he would actually go out and pick flowers to bring home. And Mr. Bryant's not able to crouch down anymore and plant his own garden. So a couple seasons ago, I decided to double what I grow from my own garden and plant a garden for him. And it gives him something to look at when he's rocking on his porch. And when I see him watering his garden and cutting flowers from it, it is one of the greatest feelings in the world. And it just, I don't know if he feels this way, but I just feel more connected as neighbors to watch him tend to something that we're kind of growing together. So that's my number one reason why I love to grow. These reasons are not in any sort of order, but that's the first one I'm sharing. So if you want to learn how to grow, you can reach out to me at baskergardens.com/pod and you can get in touch with me that way. And you can obviously explore my whole website to see how we can work together. All right. I'm so excited for today's guest. It's such a good conversation, and I don't really know if she could have a bad conversation. She's just so smart and savvy, and it's Jessica DeFino. She is an award-winning beauty reporter and critic. Her work has been seen in the New York Times, Vice, Vogue, and she writes an amazing beauty advice column called Ask Ugly, and also has a newsletter called The Review of Beauty. She's been called the woman the beauty industry fears, which who doesn't want that? Let's get to my interview with Jessica, but first we're going to take a quick break from this week's sponsor, Week of the Website. Okay, you're going to make a website in a week. A website that actually looks clean and beautiful in a week. And the experience will be fun and easy? Yes! This is possible with Week of the Website. Week of the Website is a female-founded company named one of Inc. magazine's 500 female-founded companies in America. And they've been dedicated to building amazing websites in just 1 week for over the last decade. Well, they might seem big time. They are. You'll feel like their only client. They know how frustrating it can be to build a website, so their team is obsessed with giving you the best web design experiences ever, guiding you through the process with a compassionate, hands-on approach. And if you're thinking, how can they actually do this and do the sites look good? I can say 100% yes, and I am picky. I use Week of the Website when I published my last book. I was swamped with the book launch, and I had no time to make a cool landing page that felt dynamic and custom. The Week of the Website team made it happen, and I was so happy. Their past clients have included coaches, floral studios, restaurants, entrepreneurs, nonprofits, and even a beekeeper. No matter what you do or want to do, they can help. If you're starting a new business or need a refresh to your existing site, their Week of the Website launch is a great place to start. It's a custom Squarespace website built in 1 week that includes a dedicated project manager and designer, 3 design review calls, SEO and mobile optimization, and a lifetime of training portal access, and more. Head to weekofthewebsite.com/insideoutside to book a time and learn more. And for Inside Outside listeners, get 1 free month of their concierge support and hosting when you book a project with them. Again, that's weekofthewebsite.com/insideoutside, and I'll include this link in the show notes. I wanted to introduce you as the woman the beauty industry fears. I love that quote by the Sunday Herald.
I love that quote too. I've used it incessantly.
So on this podcast, we share an inside thing and an outside thing, and we're going to start with your outside thing. And I want you to take me back to your first nature memory or a moment where you feel like nature impacted you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the first thing that comes to mind is being probably like 5 or 6 years old on the t-ball team. My dad was the coach. I was like the only girl on the boys t-ball team because he was desperate to coach boys t-ball. And I had really no interest in playing the sport. So I would sit in the outfield or in the park in practice and just dig for worms. And I was obsessed with these worms. And my nickname on the team was Jessie the Worm. So yeah, from a very early age, I was like not interested in sports, not interested in activities, very interested in dirt and worms.
Wow. And I guess the worms obviously is a memory, but like you have tons of childhood memories. Like I wonder what it is about those worms that stayed with you.
I think it's kind of, I think it's definitely tied to like identity formation, like just the nickname that came from it and like having my name tied to this thing that I did, I think is what makes it really stick out to me. Like people associated me with that. And so I associated myself with that, which is probably why it's, sticks out more than any of the many, many memories that I have in nature. I think for a long time, I always thought of it because as I grew into like a teen and an adult, I was not very into nature at all. Like I did not like to go outdoors. I mean, in my 20s, my dating profile was like, do not try to take me on a hike. That's changed, but I've always thought it was so funny, you know, becoming this person who was not very naturey and having this like childhood nickname that like suggested the opposite.
Yeah. Oh, I want to go back to that hiking thing, but first I want to say, I think it's so fascinating how when we're kids, we love worms. We love playing with these things. And then all of a sudden there's a certain age where they become gross or like we don't want to touch them. And I wonder if that's when we start reading or we see things on television. There's other people that tell us that they're gross. But as a kid, they're not gross. They're cool and we want to explore them. And I wonder if that shift ever happened for you or they became gross.
Yes. I'm like trying to pinpoint it. And I don't know if I can, but what just came up for me as you were saying that is I think my shift personally had a lot to do with like growing into a young girl and learning the rules of femininity and what girls like and what boys like. And that was like a huge driving force in my life and still is now in the work that I do in beauty. But I think as like a preteen and for sure a teenager, I was very attached to this idea of like traditional femininity and being the perfect girl and being a girly girl. And yeah, I think like nature and worms and dirt and getting dirty and getting messy did not really fit, you know, the rules of young womanhood that I had learned and that I really, you know, valued, I think.
Wow, that's really sad. And also, thank you for sharing that.
It feels very sad to talk about. Yeah. Like, you know, there's so many things like this that you don't ever really consider. You know, I haven't really like thought about that before, but it seems kind of like obvious now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah. And one more question about the worms, because I'm just trying to picture a baby. Oh, I almost said baby Jessica, but that's like the well person.
There's a different baby Jessica.
But little Jessica out in the outfield, were you like picking them up and showing them to people? Were you just like,
Yeah, I think it was very like isolated. I wasn't showing it to people. I wasn't showing them to people. I was in my own little world, worms in my hand, dirt in my hand, watching them crawl. It was very just like me and this worm against the world.
And I want to go back to that hiking thing too, because I think, you know, so much of what I'm doing with Basker, my horticultural therapy company, is just like, I actually don't like hiking or camping at all. And I think that there's these rules also when it comes to nature, that it's kind of like this all or nothing mentality of like, oh, of course, if you like to garden, you love hiking and nature, and like, of course you want to go in the woods. And it's like, that's not how I connect with nature. So I think it's just, I think it's so important to find the way that you connect with it, whether it is worms or hiking, or if you hate those things. And so it sounds like you had a turn that you did start to enjoy hiking and more nature things. Why do you think that happened?
Yeah, very much. I don't know. I was living in Los Angeles, and I guess the great thing about LA is that everything is there. You know, you can be in Hollywood, you can be at, the shows and the music venues, or you can be on a hike at the Griffith Observatory. And I think just living there after a while, more opportunities to do these sort of nature things came up. And I guess I just sort of pushed against this idea of myself and my own interests that I had and found myself really enjoying just being out in nature, sometimes hiking, but not always. I even moved out to Joshua Tree for a year.
Oh my gosh.
And lived on this dirt road right next to the national park, just like completely surrounded by nature, no neighbors at all, just coyotes and beautiful Joshua trees. And yeah, I mean, now I would say that I love nature. I'm not huge on like exercising in the heat, but I love to like be outdoors, in a field, on the beach, especially like reading a book, things like that. Like leisure time in nature is nice.
And I think that's, now that you're saying the LA thing, like I don't live in LA, but I have a lot of friends in LA, and I've been to LA a lot and done quote unquote hiking with them, which hiking in LA is also like this sport of who looks really good hiking as well.
It's an aesthetic.
Yes. So I think, a lot of my hiking experiences have been in that way. And I feel like my grossest self, like walking around women that are perfectly hiking, if you want to call it that.
Yes.
That like, it quite literally made me feel like an ogre, like just being like, just watching these people, specifically women, do it with such ease, it seemed like, in like these matching outfits and beautiful hair and perfect. It was just like, what am I doing wrong here? Like, what is happening? So I think a lot of my hiking experiences have been me just feeling shitty about myself, which is also sad, but true.
So sad, but so relatable. Yes, 100%. I think that's part of why I was always like, don't try to take me on a hike, because I couldn't do the glamorous hike that I saw other people do. I was like, I know I will be sweaty. I don't have a coordinated outdoor activity set. I don't have a beautiful water bottle. Like, how are people like not sweating through their makeup? I don't get it.
Or through their pants. Like when I sweat, it looks like I've peed my pants. It's disgusting.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's not, it's just, I don't know. So it's, but I have hiked in other situations where it wasn't a super big incline. No one else was there. It was the woods in West Virginia. And I actually did have a more positive experience. So that's really interesting to think about why I think I hate hiking.
Yeah. I'm like, now that I'm thinking about my favorite hike to do is near Joshua Tree. It's called the 49 Palms Oasis hike. I don't know if you've done it or heard of it.
No.
But it's a really strenuous hike, like up this side of the mountain in the middle of the desert. It's not really a beautiful view or anything. But once you like get up and over it, you sort of descend down into a literal oasis in the desert. And there are palm trees and there's water and there's like aquatic life. And it feels like a dream, but it's also pretty isolated because there's not a ton of people there, year round.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like this mix of just kind of magical paradise that you don't expect to stumble upon, and also being fairly alone, not really looked at. Like no one's looking at you on these hikes, right? There's fewer people and everyone is just like awestruck by this oasis in the middle of Joshua Tree.
Wow. Yeah, that sounds like the perfect hike. And I think there's also this happy medium of hiking too, where I don't want to feel too isolated because I'm terrified of, I don't know where this even comes from, but like quite literally like an axe murderer in the woods with me.
Yes.
But then
or
I
just
also,
stumbling off the path
yes,
and
or
getting
getting
lost.
lost.
Like,
Yes. So I want some people, but not a lot of. So basically, I just have too many hiking parameters, I guess.
too many requirements.
Before we move to your inside thing, every single episode, one thing that I'm so passionate about nature and how we connect with it is how much research and studies that prove why it makes us feel the way we do. And so every episode I bring a new study or research that's happening about nature. And I purposely brought this one for you.
Ooh.
Because there has been some new studies that show that people have a better body image of themselves, not apparently hiking in LA, but we have a better body image of ourselves if we have a deep relationship with nature. And so, I think we can figure out where some of this comes from.
Right.
But I wanted to see if you've ever felt that before.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I 100% believe that and definitely relate to it. So probably about, I guess at the start of the pandemic, maybe about 5 years ago, I left LA, I moved back home to New Jersey, and I was living at my grandparents' old beach house on the Jersey Shore. And I was there by myself, and there was like a little private beach like on the bay a block away. And I had the key to get in. So every morning I would walk down to this beach, and it was just me there. And it wasn't like a beautiful beach or anything. It was like bay water and, ducks and stuff. But I loved it. And I noticed there, sitting on the sand, looking at the water, having all these waterfowl around me, I felt so fine with my body. And I had this realization that, like, I actually really like my body when nobody else is around.
Yeah.
And I think being in nature in my body, in my bathing suit, really brought that realization out for me, because I was like, wow, I don't like the shame is internalized, I guess, but only to an extent. And I could feel it just completely like melt away when it was just me in nature as myself. I was like, oh, I don't mind this at all. Whereas like, in my normal life, I'm racked with body anxiety. So,
but it's like, how do we capture that all the time then? It's like, how do we take that feeling that we have and feel that way the rest of the time? Because like, obviously we can't constantly be swimming in a body of water or looking at ducks or whatever. But, I have, this is not like private information. I've shared this before. I've like body dysmorphia, and I sometimes wish I could just live in my flower garden, because it is truly a space where I just feel good in that space. And obviously there's no reflections or mirrors or anything to judge, but I sometimes really think about, it's like, how can I translate this feeling I have to just the rest of my life?
Right. I mean, just thinking about it now, I feel like so much of it probably comes down to actually having like a true, like almost metaphysical experience of beauty. Like when I think of, beauty as, theorized thousands of years ago, what philosophers were saying about beauty hundreds of years ago and what it was, beauty was always thought of this experience that brought us outside of ourselves and connected us to something larger beyond the self. Like, Immanuel Kant, for instance, would never say that your reflection or your body would be considered an experience of beauty, because it's self-interested, and two, it doesn't like connect you to anything beyond. And that was the definition of beauty back in the day. And I think that's a really important definition of beauty to hold on to. And I think the more like true experiences of beauty outside the self we have, the better it is for us psychologically. And then I think, in our day-to-day lives, we're confronted with the phones and the mirrors and the selfies and all of it. And our experience of like physical appearance versus beauty, like our experiences of physical appearance outweigh our experiences of outward beyond beauty.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And, something else that a couple of these studies kind of paralleled in the work were just saying that when we're in nature, there's more of a focus on how amazing the function of our bodies are. Like, I can move my legs. I can cut this flower. Like, you're connected to something larger, and you're just like, you're less worried about the physical appearance of it. You're more just like in awe of what you're capable of. And I think that, I think probably like you being with those ducks, or I had that experience like swimming in, I'm also not a lake person, but I did go to Italy and I went to Lake Garda, and that's like a completely different lake experience. But I remember being in it, this was last summer, and being in a bathing suit and actually feeling beautiful in that water. In that moment, I was like, oh my God, my body can float. My body can do all these things. And there's like a real sense of pride that comes from that.
Yes. Yeah. It's this, the experience of being rather than appearing. And I think so much of modern life puts the focus on appearing rather than being. And that can be just like a super powerful experience when you're like, oh, I'm doing something. I'm part of something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I wanted to ask you this because I love your Substack so much, but then also sometimes it feels too emotional for me to read.
I get that feedback all the time.
Which, I wrote a book on endometriosis, and I got a lot of people tell me, I love that you wrote this book, but it's too triggering for me. I'm like, okay, great. I just spent a year writing this. But so I've seen it on both sides. But I mean, do you think that your work writing about beauty, writing about how just messed up all of the beauty world is, and do you find it triggering for yourself, or do you find it helpful for you?
It's so hard to tell what comes first, the trigger or the help. Like, I think that in my ideal world, at some point in the next however many years, my obsession with beauty will have like dissipated and it won't be my focus. And maybe I can like write about something else for a change. So I do think that like part of my drive to write about beauty is because I still am so in it. Like I'm so stuck in beauty culture, and I would love to one day not feel that pressure all of the time. And I think writing critically about beauty is kind of a way for me to make this like sort of unhealthy obsession with it matter, or like channel it into something better, because just accepting it at face value and living my life like that was not really working for me.
Yeah.
So I would love for one day to not be so obsessed with beauty. But for now, because I do feel like the work I do helps a little bit, even though it's like it comes from this very like, I guess, painful relationship to beauty.
And do you feel when you say painful, is that something, just societal, the way that things make you feel, or, and I know that you worked for the K words for a while, or was that something internal that you've just like always kind of felt from a young age?
Yeah, I think I encountered it like at a very young age before I really encountered like, full blown like societal beauty culture. When I was like going into preschool, so I guess 3 years old, there was sort of a debate among the adults in my family of whether or not to get me plastic surgery because my ears stick out so much.
Jessica,
and I know, and it's like
I'm so sorry. And you heard of that at that?
Oh, I mean, it was a huge
period?
topic in the family. We talked about it all the time.
Wow.
And they decided not to get the surgery. And then, throughout growing up, knowing this, I was always like, why didn't you get my ears pinned? Like, I'm so ugly. Everyone makes fun of me. And like, that was something that I wanted to do. I had talked my grandmother into getting me that for my high school graduation because it became this fixation, and it never actually happened. But yeah, that was like a really early memory. And then also at the same time, like as I was getting this message of like ugliness from, the people who loved me unconditionally. I was also in like beauty pageants when I was like 5, 6, 7.
Oh, yeah.
Which I think
the big ear beauty pageant.
Yeah, right. I think it like affected me pretty deeply. Like now that I look back on it, I'm like, there's so many lessons there of just like the prettiest girl gets the trophy. Like you have to be the most beautiful girl to win. Like makeup was introduced at a really young age, things like that. Like the thing that I loved about the pageants was the talent portion. Like I loved singing. And I think I really internalized this idea that in order to do the thing you love to do that like lights you up, you have to be beautiful first. And I think that is a lesson that has like really plagued me my entire life.
Yeah. Wow. That ear thing is, I think I was in the 6th grade. I had chronic insomnia all through school, and my mom had a friend over from out of town, and I was still awake. They didn't know that. And my mom was sharing with her how she felt sorry for me because I was bigger than all the other girls.
Oh.
And it's similar to the ear thing. It's like, that's probably true, but to hear someone else say it and that they felt sorry for you.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, so I should feel sorry too. And it's just, I'm sure that so many of us that have bad relationships with bodies or faces or whatever, it has so much to do with something we overheard or someone said to our face, or it's just, I sometimes wish you could just kind of extract those memories and just see how you would be without those,
Yes. Eternal sunshine of the spotless mind for beauty culture. Sign me up, please.
It is interesting because I wrote that book on endometriosis, and once I published it, I was like, I'm kind of done. Like, it was such a depressing book to write. And yeah, I'm curious for you, like what that finality point, or maybe you'll just keep writing about beauty forever, but it'll be interesting to see what piques your interest, what your obsession will be next.
Right. No, I'm excited to find that out too.
Because I think when you are someone that is very curious and obsessive, and not in a bad way, it's very hard to be interested in a topic, sort of.
Yes. No, I relate. I mean, even just like reading, I love reading, and I've gotten into this thing where I don't know if I've read something that I haven't tried to relate to my work in beauty culture in some way or another in like years. It's like I'm picking through every movie I watch or TV show I watch or book I read for like, how does this relate to beauty culture and what do I have to say about it? And I would love to get to the point where I could like shut that off in my brain and just enjoy other things for the sake of enjoying them.
Yeah, it's tricky when you end an obsession, because I mean there's like kind of a postpartum depression period too, of sort of like, okay, what's now? What's next? And I think a lot of times, I mean, whether we like it or not, our work is our personal identity. So you moving to something else, it's not just about you moving to something else. It's like how people know you and identify you.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely like a scary thought to be like, oh no, what am I gonna do next? Is this gonna be it forever? Does this have to be it forever? Because this is like the niche I've carved out in the career that I've made. But people pivot all the time.
Yeah. I mean, I just went back to college in my 40s. So
that's so exciting.
So, I mean, I could talk to you about this stuff forever, but I'm trying to keep this podcast not 2 hours long, like my old one. So let's move to your inside thing.
Sure.
I'm very excited about this.
Yeah.
And this is something that I've heard you talk about before, and I'm so excited to actually talk to you about it. So tell us what your inside obsession is.
My inside obsession right now is this thing that I'm calling the self shelf or the self shelfie, which is like wearing beauty products directly on the body. as packaged. So like examples of this would be pimple patches or those under eye patches, anything in like the morning shed videos that are really big on social media right now.
Tell people what the morning shed trend is.
So the morning shed, it actually happens, it starts happening the night before. The morning shed refers to like the layers and layers and layers of beauty products that people put on before they go to bed in order to wake up beautiful. They call it like go to bed ugly, wake up beautiful. And it's, there's mouth tape, there are lip masks, sheet masks, under eye masks, all sorts of things. Sometimes like gloves for your hands to like sleep lotion. Frownies, yeah. Cleavage masks, anything like that. Heatless curlers, bonnets to sleep in so your hair stays, frizz-free. Mm-hmm. It's a lot. It's quite a lot. And then in the morning, you take a video of yourself removing all of these layers and sort of reveal. Oh, another thing is like stains. People will sleep with like lip stains on and then peel off the stain so that their lips and cheeks are like perfectly rosy right as they wake up, that sort of thing. So it's quite a lot. It's quite a lot.
And the thing that, these are things that people are doing in bed, right? But the things that you're talking about are out in the wild.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, people wear pimple patches all over the place. I mean, I see them on the subway all the time. No one's like afraid to kind of go out and take a walk with their under eye masks on in the morning. There's this new brand called Barriere, which is like vitamin infusion patches that kind of look like temporary tattoos that people are wearing. So I look at this trend and I see it as sort of like an evolution from the selfie, where at the beginning of like Instagram 2010, people would, in the beauty industry specifically, would post a selfie and this would display like the results of a product. Your skin would look glowy and the selfie would be proof the product worked. And then we transitioned to shelfies. I think after Into the Gloss really blew up, which was, these pictures of the products that you used in this sort of like meticulously organized bathroom shelf. I think of Into the Gloss.
That 90% of that product they got for free. I mean,
for free and was not being used.
Kit. Yeah.
Was not being used at all. And that really took over the internet and social media. And it was also this sort of statement of like, this is who I am, similar to, the selfie. These are all like forms of like self-identification. And now I feel like we've shifted to like a shelf identification where like we're displaying the product on the body itself. So it's almost like almost like a merchification of beauty where you're wearing the beauty merch with the name, with the logo on your body and displaying that. I think it has a lot to do with like aesthetic labor and the glorification of work ethic. Like we want people to know like it takes work to look this way.
And I guess I can take this to the Real Housewives. They love it or hate it. They're very open about all the plastic surgery that they're having.
Right.
And they're part of that is I don't know necessarily of them just wanting to be transparent with the audience. It's to show that they have wealth to do these things.
Yes. Yeah. It's a status symbol. I mean, it's like a very conspicuous display of consumption. And I think, I think about this specifically with the morning shed. The aesthetic of it is like vaguely post-op,
Yes.
Where it's like kind of cool to keep your bandages on or look like, you still have like the needle marks in your lips or something like this centering of the work, the showing of the work, and therefore the wealth that's been like funneled into the face is kind of the point more than the results even.
So I think that, and I think I'm not the only one in this, but I can completely not believe in something and then show me 20 videos of someone doing it. And I'm like, maybe should I do that? And that's why I don't have TikTok or Instagram. But I'm just wondering, with you consuming so much of this and seeing so much of this, I mean, do you partake in it? Do you kind of want to explore it yourself? And then do you have shame exploring it?
I would say that there is a level of shame if I do want to explore something with things like this. Like the patches and the morning shed, there's no curiosity for me. I think with skincare, there's no allure to it because I have studied the science of the skin so much that I know there's no skincare product that is going to really do anything for me, which I've written a lot about before. So I can like pretty much watch anything skincare related and not feel pulled to try it myself. I do feel more pulled toward makeup, not so much no makeup, but like lately I've been really curious about like exploring like artifice for the sake of artifice through makeup, and how is that different, for example, from like wearing concealer or wearing tinted moisturizer, which to me like doesn't feel like a self-expression or like an empowering kind of beauty. So I have been wanting to experiment with like blue eyeliner and things like that lately, and also sort of feel a bit of shame around it because I'm like, that's not my brand. but the brand's
but
evolving.
Don't you see that as like just a creative expression
yes.
though? Yeah.
No, I do. And yeah, it's difficult trying to square that. I wore eyeliner out the other night to an event, and I was talking to the person next to me. We had not known each other, and she asked what my name was, and she said, "Oh my God, wait, are you Jessica DeFino?" And I was like so ashamed that I had eyeliner on. I was like, she's going to know I'm a fraud. But I mean, I think this is just like something that's not true that I've internalized about what people think about me, because that's not really the point of my work, to don't ever use anything.
Right.
Or beauty doesn't have any, good uses. That's definitely not my message, but I do feel a sense of shame in indulging myself sometimes now.
Yeah, I've actually gotten into an argument with my dad over makeup, and him saying, I mean, this sounds so misogynistic, but whatever. Him saying, women wear makeup for men.
Right.
And I fight him so hard on that because I'm like, I wear makeup because it makes me feel better. But then he's like, then why do you feel better? Because like someone has told you that looks better, that you're under eye you know what I mean? So
yeah,
it's a twisted thing, because do I feel better because I've been told that it's better to not have bags under your eyes? Or is it just me feeling like, wow, you look kind of fresher that way? Or your eyes look more open and you're sleepy when you curl your lashes. It's something that I think about a lot, whether it makes me feel good or if I am trying to present to the world as better.
Yeah, I think with beauty, a lot of the times, I would say like the large majority of the time, something makes us feel good because so much has made us feel bad before. Like I always say, like beauty products can only give you the confidence that beauty standards stole. Especially when we're talking about like something that takes away your under eye bags or concealer or things like that. I feel, I really struggle with the framing too of like, because a man wants you to look that way. I feel like so much of this confusion could be cleared up if we called the male gaze like the patriarchal gaze, because it's not about one particular man or a certain man's preference. It's about the overarching culture that has specifically targeted women in the past couple of 100 years with these like very specific beauty messages. But yeah, at the same time, like makeup existed before patriarchy. This has been this was one of like the earliest human forms of like creativity and communication, and it's not only that. It has been co-opted for the benefit of patriarchy or capitalism or whatever you want to say, for sure, but that's definitely not its only use or its original use. And I think there are still so many cases where we can use it in this like really beautiful, expressive, creative way that have nothing to do with looking a certain way to appeal to a man.
And I mean, let's be very real. I could give a fuck what a dude thinks I look like. It's women that I care about. Like, exactly. I don't want to see my friend and be like, wow, Jessica looks like shit today. And I, would hope that my friends don't think that, but we're obviously self-conscious. In fact, I don't know about you, but since the teabag has been elected, I just feel even more like I don't give a fuck about what you think about the way I look. One last question. Where do you see this trend going if it went completely off the rails? And let me tell you, things are off the rails already.
things are completely off the rails. I think the thing that concerns me most about this trend and where it's going is what it says about like how we see ourselves or how we identify ourselves. And I think, you know, if the selfie is like self-identification and the shelfie is like identification with products, I think this self-shelf represents like a merging of person and product. And that's even in like how these products work, right? Like you're putting something on your body because it changes your body, right? It's like, to me, it's like this very dystopian idea of like person merged with product, and the product sort of becoming inextricable from the person. And yeah, just the questions about what does that do to our sense of identity and our sense of self, and what are perhaps the dangers of identifying so closely with like mass produced products, in such an intimate way, you know, in a way that it's like, you know, it's different than putting on a t-shirt with a brand's logo. You take the t-shirt off. When you're putting on, you know, an under eye mask or a pimple patch, like there are ingredients that pierce through your skin barrier. That's what they're supposed to do. They're changing the makeup of your body. They're changing what you look like. It's like next level merchification in a way that's like, yeah.
I'm so not a logo person, or I mean, I don't think I've ever owned a shirt or anything that has a logo or an emblem. I mean, I just remember being younger and thinking that was like the most uncool thing that you could do. Why am I propping up this brand? Like, why am I part of this narrative of this? I guess I've just never felt an allegiance or a connection to a brand in that way.
Yeah.
To make myself a billboard for them.
Yeah, I have definitely felt that pull, particularly during the era when I was working with the Kardashian Jenner apps.
Yeah,
and yeah, it was super powerful and it lingers. And so it's always an impulse that I'm trying to check in myself and remind myself, like, what do you get out of this versus what does the brand get out of this? And is that actually glamorous, or is it just kind of like sad?
Yes. Yeah. I will say, back in the day, I worked for Virgil Abloh before Louis Vuitton days. And this is like Pyrex days. And I will say that being around all of those guys, and this was the time of like Givenchy, like the obsession with just everything designer. And I did in moments feel, wait, should I get something like that? And I'm like, no, what? No. Dude. But I mean, I think it's just, and I think whenever I go to New York or whenever I go to LA, like being where I live, I'm very removed from a lot of designer things. Like Charleston's uniform, which is not my uniform, is a matching yoga set. I mean, I don't want to say they're not super fashionable, but they don't really care as much about.
Yeah.
And I just like, I love the feeling of not wanting or needing or feeling like I need that stuff. But when I do go to New York or places, I'm like, wait, do I need a nice bag?
Yeah. I recently moved to Jersey City, which is, you know, very close to New York. And the things that just being on the subway have made me want, it's it messes with your mind.
Yeah. And that's why the beauty stuff. And I have to not be on social platforms. And I did notice that you returned to Instagram when I always like to see what's happening on other people's profiles when I'm in an interview. And I was surprised to see you back. What made you decide to go back?
Yeah, I'm back very intermittently. I'm not posting a ton or on it a ton, but I started my newsletter over 5 years ago now, and I feel like this space has just blossomed in this huge way. It's ballooned. And I think maybe like 6 months ago, I started really feeling this sort of scarcity mindset of like, oh my gosh, everyone has a newsletter now. How am I going to reach new people? You know, there's so many newsletters asking for $5 and I'm going to lose subscribers. And I've definitely seen things, you know, plateau a little bit. And yeah, I was like, well, maybe I should get back on social just to get the word out to a new set of people since I haven't been there in 5 years. But I don't know.
Have you noticed that it's helped at all?
Not really. I don't think I'm consistent enough with it for it to have helped yet. I'm still figuring out what I want to do there. It's not something I'm passionate about. It's not something where I'm like, oh, I want to go spend an hour posting on Instagram.
Right.
So it's something I have to like push myself to do, especially out of being out of practice and not in the swing of it, which has been great for me.
Yeah, I was just curious what made you go back. Because, I mean, for sure, I think you were one of the more, I'll say you're one of the original Substackers. And it's funny to me when I hear people say, I'm going to start a Substack. And I'm like, okay. I think it's really hard to get those paid subscribers now, way more than it used to be. And I just took my paywall down. I would like for you to still engage with my content. And I know that a lot of people can't afford an extra $5 right now.
Right.
Like, period. Not even because they're subscribed to like 10 other Substacks. And how do you feel about this new wave of Substack with like brands are on there? Everybody's on there. Rick Rubin's charging for his.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I don't mind the brands so much. I don't think the brands are going to influence much of anything because I haven't seen any like thrilling content. You know, branded content is inherently like a little boring and safe and is not necessarily something that I or many people want to sign up to read once a week in our email inbox. Like I get enough brand emails. So I don't know. I don't feel any particular way about that. I really get a little annoyed at media companies joining Substack, like New York Magazine, Allure. Again, these are all companies that I was desperate to write for and did write for and would get like $250 for writing 2,000 words. And that's why so many journalists have had to go independent. So it feels a little upsetting.
Like New York Mag, you already have a Substack. It's called your website.
Yes, exactly. And it's like now there's this cool space that independent journalists have built up because there was not funds to pay us at these like legacy publications. So it feels, I don't love the media newsletters popping up, like legacy media newsletters. I don't know. I guess my only worry is just that with all the celebrities and media companies and brands that it'll sort of like, and I already feel this, like it sounds like a little lame to tell people like, oh, I have a Substack, or I'll say I have a newsletter and people will be like, oh, on Substack. And I'll be like, yes, on Substack. Like, why can't it just be my newsletter?
I know.
Why do I have to brand it as somebody else's brand? Like it's no matter where it goes, like even if I went to another newsletter platform, it would be the same content. So I don't feel like personally attached to like, I have a Substack. Yeah. And I hope that readers can appreciate, you know, each individual like newsletter they sign up for what it is and not as being under this like corporate umbrella.
And it's also strange to see who gets run off the platform and who people are okay with. Like, I don't know if you saw that stuff with Glennon Doyle.
Oh my gosh, yes.
It's so sad.
That was sad.
And if people don't know, she started a Substack and then people just went at her in ways I'm like, why do you even care this much? And so she left the platform and it's like, what? It's just, it's supposed to be this like great community. And they're just like, no, you cannot be a part of this community. So I always find it very odd, the people that people are cool with having a Substack that's paid. And then people that are like, no, it's like Glennon Doyle's kind of a harmless, nice seeming person.
Yeah, she donates a ton. She does a lot of like nonprofit work. And she's also a writer. She's not like a celebrity who decided to have a Substack. She is a celebrity because she is a phenomenal writer.
Yes. And like Elizabeth Gilbert
did
that like welcoming. I'm not a Glennon Doyle. I've never even read one of her books, but I so respect what she does. And I was just like, what is wrong with this place?
Yeah. Things are getting weird over there.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. If people want to find your work, where should they find you? on
They
Substack?
can find me on Substack, jessicadefino.substack.com, or my column at The Guardian is called Ask Ugly. It comes out once a month.
I included in my newsletter that piece that you wrote about, it had to do with your mom feeling ugly in photos.
Oh, yes. The photography one. Yes.
So amazing.
Oh, thank you.
My gosh. I love that one so much.
It was a fun one to write.
Well, everyone go find Jessica wherever she is. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening. That's the show. You know, we have lots of reviews on Apple Podcasts, but none on Spotify. So do me a favor, and if you like the show, give us a 5-star rating on Spotify. It will help more people find the podcast. And if you want to leave an extra Apple Podcast review, I'm cool with that too. And to find links for everything we talked about, check out the show notes or head to baskergardens.com and click on the podcast link. And if you want to learn more about horticultural therapy or how we can work together, go to baskergardens.com/pod and message me. Again, everything in the show notes. Talk to you next week.